Well, I don't think he's going to win a title. I think he's going to be viewed as one of those talented guys who probably couldn't conform into the way that the game was being played. Like, there's a saying that I had in the 2016 playoffs when Oklahoma City was challenging Golden State: can't trust Russ. Because late in the game, I looked at game 6 when Clay went off.
Yep.
He was guarding Clay when Clay went off. And then in the last 2 minutes, they couldn't get a shot off. That is directly attributed to your point guard and the type of structure and order that you have. And although I was not a huge fan of Billy Donovan, I think you could spread a lot of that blame around.
KD, too, wasn't lighting it up.
KD was terrible in that game.
It wasn't just Russ.
But point guard is a position of order. And you can have wild players in virtually every other spot except for point guard because it's so much order, the team sort of rallies around that particular position. And unless there's another player who can sort of take minutes off of him at that point guard spot as his career sort of, starts to deteriorate a little bit. You can see it now physically. He's not the same player that he was maybe a couple years ago. I just don't see Russ being that guy that can be stable enough to lead a team to a championship.
Yeah, he's improved a lot in those areas, but you're right. I mean, that's always been his thing. I don't even – now you view him as a point guard, but he's really not a point guard. He's just a tremendous athlete. He's not a guy that's running the offense the right way necessarily. He's gotten better. Like, now he's not making what I'll call like Allen Iverson assists, where you're going to try to score and you can't, so you kick it out to your open teammate and they make a bucket. Now he is looking for guys this year. And that's why, Dennis Schroeder, Steven Adams, Paul George, Jeremy Grant, they're all having career years. A lot of that's Russ, but he still has a ways to go in that regard. As far as his legacy, look, I agree with you. I don't think he'll win a championship. He's going to be an icon. He's going to be iconic. 25 years from now, 30, 40 years from now, people are going to be like, Russell Westbrook averaged a triple-double for 3 straight years. And maybe it'll be 4 or 5, who knows. But think of Oscar Robertson. Now, he was obviously a better all-around player, better player than Russ. But we don't think of Oscar Robertson and the one championship he won with Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in Milwaukee. Whenever we talk about Oscar Robertson, he averaged a triple-double for his for a season. And that's what we'll say about Russ. I mean, nobody thought this could be done. Not Hubie Brown, not Jerry West, not the greatest basketball minds, not LeBron. None of them thought it was possible in today's NBA to average a triple-double, and he's doing it for 3 straight years. So you're right, he's got flaws, but he's going to be an icon because of that triple-double.
All right, there's a bunch to unpack there. Okay, first thing is, you're right. You guys are both right. He's not really a point guard. And maybe the best move of the offseason, which got the least discussion, was acquiring Dennis Schroeder, who's not truly a starting point guard for a playoff caliber team, right? Like, he was the point guard for one of the worst teams in the NBA. But if he can move Russ off the basketball in parts of the fourth quarter, which is what James Harden was able to do. People forget James Harden was their fourth quarter point guard when they went to the NBA Finals. And that allows Russ to be Russ. Well, let me first disagree with you in terms of triple-double. Does it look great historically? Absolutely. But we should also point out that the possessions are at an all-time high.
Not all-time.
Well, for modern, I was going to for modern basketball.
When Oscar averaged it, the possessions were way more.
Then why isn't anyone else doing it?
Right.
Because
nobody else is going for it.
Nobody else.
They're 70, Doug. They're 72-20. When he has a triple-double. To put that in, that's a 64-win pace.
No,
so it's not like
third in the Western Conference.
They win more when he gets a triple-double.
They're a really good team. They're the second best team in the West, and people were naysayers about them because last year Paul George knew himself. He knew, like, hey, I just need another year here to kind of feel more comfortable. He's another year away from the injury as well, and I think Russ has been a big part. He's playing off the ball a little bit more. His usage rate is down. I think he's helped Paul George. I do think he's been cool with the hockey. It's also been cool with the hockey assist, whereas it didn't used to. He used to do more of the LeBron thing, which is like, I like when you score, but I want to be the guy who leads to you scoring. But, like, let's be honest, that the volume of shots coming from both ends, the fact that now that he's a guard that rebounds, you don't really have to rebound. Maybe a little bit more so than you used to because you're playing 5-out basketball. But really, it's the loading up on the rebound stats that are the reason that he has the triple-double. He was, and other guys, I think.
Like Sarah said, why isn't anybody else doing it?
You cannot tell me there's not another player that wouldn't be doing it if they could.
Yeah, I think you'll see Giannis get there. I think you'll see
triple-double?
Yes, I think you'll see.
He's only at about 6 assists a game.
I understand. I think you'll see it more and more as people the threat of him if he improves as a jump shooter.
Do you think Giannis will end up being one of the best players in the game?
Yeah, I think Giannis is potentially an MVP. Like, look, I think Russell Westbrook's really good.
Him to a player that you think is at that caliber.
Here's what's crazy about it. How has he lost his jump shot? Right? Like,
well,
usually,
shooting.
Yes, but usually as your legs start to go, and he's not like, dude, he was the best. I think he was the best athlete in all of sports. Like, in terms of all around speed, strength, power, and agility, and doing all this stuff with a basketball. You go back 3 or 4 years ago, there's nobody in any sport that was more of a freak than that guy. Like, he just wired differently than everybody. But usually as that athleticism goes, now your jump shot has better rhythm.
Right.
And he's shooting 24% from 3. His free throw shooting over 2 years is down 20%. Look, I'm a guy who lost it mentally at the free throw line. I can tell you it's really, really hard to get it back. And that changes how much he attacks the rim. And he's never really been a great finisher in spite of his incredible athletic gifts. But that's the weird thing about Russ, which is where he should be more comfortable than he's ever been because he has another guy who can carry the team. He has another point guard who can manage the team. They finally found a small ball lineup that can spread people out, which they couldn't do previously. Now, all of a sudden, he's lost his shooting, which is a really weird thing.
It is a weird thing. And, Chris, I'm going to say something that you're probably not going to like, that I think the triple-double is overrated. It's just a number.
Yeah.
10 is just a number. What's the difference between 28, 9, and 9 and 28, 10, and 10?
I give you that.
You know what I'm saying?
Because if Westbrook, and I'm a voter for the
and
MVP.
I didn't vote for him for MVP the year that he won it.
I would not have voted for him. And so this is going to support your point. If he had averaged like 9.7 assists or 9.8, it was the triple-double. But everything is just the number. I mean, 20 points a game versus 19 points. We always talk about 20 and 10. 5 players only averaging 20 and 10 or whatever it is. What's the difference between 10 and 9?
We never gave somebody an MVP based off of that.
I think the
triple-double, but nobody's – that's another thing. Nobody's done it except Oscar Robertson. And like you said, possessions – when Oscar did it, possessions were way more. Defense wasn't as strong. Shooting percentages were lower. So there were many more rebounds available. Russ, I'll give you that with the three-point shots. There are a lot more longer rebounds.
That's also
Big
helped.
men aren't rebounding.
It's helped Harden with the 30-point streak as well. And the volume of three-point shots.
And Harden gets a lot of rebounds too. So I'll give you that. But LeBron benefits just as much. Like Sarah said, nobody else is doing it. And you can't tell me that a guy can score a lot of points. He can average 30-something points a game and hurt his team. You can't get a triple-double and hurt your team unless you're just shooting too much. He's getting a lot of rebounds.
I disagree.
Getting rebounds and assists how does rebounds and assists hurt your team?
If you're a point guard, I don't want you rebounding. I want you because I want you getting the second pass.
Most of the best rebounding point guards. Who are the best rebounding point guards in history?
It's Jason
Russell
Kidd,
Westbrook, Jason Kidd, Magic Johnson. They all win.
They also all advance past the basketball. Lonzo Ball is that way. Here's maybe a
and Lonzo's a good rebounder too.
Look, I think it's a little overrated. I think part of it is we're still caught in the old school stat era, right? In the media, we're still points, rebounds, assists. Where that's not how they look at it, which is a lot like baseball. Baseball, like RBI don't really matter that much. They just don't. RBI is more about who gets on base. It's more about what you do with runners in scoring position. It's more about your WAR, right? Whereas in basketball, it's more about your points per possession, your plus minus, your efficiency rating on offense and defense. And you're still judging today based upon the stats of yesteryear. Whereas within basketball circles, which we're all part of, it's more about your efficiency at both ends. And he can be a wildly inefficient player in spite of the fact that his traditional stats are outstanding.
He's impacting wins.
20.
He's impacting wins.
Right.
He's a great player.
No matter which group of stats you want to use, at the end of the day, it's about wins. 72 and 20, Vince.
We're going to bring you back a little bit later in the show.
72 and 20. Seriously?
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.